In Cincinnati, neither position will be filled. Duke Tobin is kind of the GM. Doesn't really have the title of GM, but he's the guy who's setting the table. Zac Taylor is the guy who's coaching the team. The Bengals issued a statement on Monday that both will be back. Now, in a normally functioning organization, you don't have to issue a statement that both will be back. You just come back. Everybody's back. The Colts did it Sunday, I know, but that's kind of a different situation because it's a new owner. Nobody knows what Carly Ursay-Gordon was going to want to do. So I won't call the Colts dysfunctional for issuing the statement as soon as the season ended that, yeah, hey, let there be no misunderstanding. Ballard and Steichen are back. It's different for the Bengals. And it just shows that, other teams might not have the same faith in Tobin and Taylor. And we know what the deal is in Cincinnati. The snow-covered seats from a few weeks ago say it all. It's a business. We talked about this on PFT Live when we were addressing the likelihood that Taylor would be back. If you fire Zac Taylor, you got to pay him what you owe him. And you got to pay someone else to come coach the team. And all of that eats into the profits. Right. Salary cap dollars, there's a certain amount of your money that you have to spend on players. Everything else is profit based upon the extent to which you can minimize expenses. The less you pay to the coaches, the more profit you make. The less you pay in buyouts, the more profit you make. That's the one thing that Mike Brown and Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys, have in common. They won't pay coaches to not coach. When coaching changes are made in Dallas, it's always when the contract expires, or at a minimum, when the guaranteed money expires. I've said for weeks that's the key question for Zac Taylor, not how long the contract lasts, how long the contract is guaranteed for. When Marvin Lewis was fired after the 2018 season, he had a year left on his contract. That year wasn't guaranteed. So we knew what was going to happen in Cincinnati. If there's any guarantees left on those contracts, the employees are staying. Now, what that means for Joe Burrow, we'll see, because he's been saying something needs to change. Their challenge this year is going to be to make the right kind of changes that will make Joe Burrow feel the same way next year. He's entering year 7. For Carson Palmer, it took 8 years for him to come to the conclusion, I can't win here. This organization prioritizes making money over pursuing championships. And that was it for Carson Palmer. Joe Burrow may be getting closer to that point. And I also believe, based upon all the things that have been said, someone will call the Bengals and inquire as to whether or not Burrow is available. Now, before the draft in 2020, the Dolphins tried to get the rights to Joe Burrow, and the Bengals consistently hung up the phone. We don't know what they'll do now. There's no reason to think they won't hang up the phone. But maybe somebody makes them an offer they can't refuse. Or maybe they see what's coming. Maybe they see, you know what? We're getting closer and closer to the point where Joe Burrow's had enough. Maybe we sell high. Maybe we move on from Joe Burrow now. I mean, Joe Flacco wasn't a disaster when he was replacing Joe Burrow. Maybe they can convince themselves that they could be okay with someone else. That's a risky proposition. And maybe they just like a break from this constant stress of trying to keep Joe Burrow happy. You get to a point where it just kind of weighs you down as an organization to tiptoe around the franchise quarterback who is, constantly hitting directly or indirectly at the idea of, if you don't do what I want you to do, I may want out. Maybe at some point you say, let's move him out. Let's not have to worry about that anymore. Those are all things to monitor as the offseason unfolds. You got 2 teams with franchise quarterbacks in the AFC North, the Ravens and the Bengals, where the phone calls will be made. And I think it's far more likely that a team would take on Burrow and his contract than Lamar Jackson and his contract. Either team would need a lot by way of a trade offer to get them to make the move. But these are all things that will potentially unfold now that we get into the offseason for the 18 teams that didn't make it. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.